Hey everybody, welcome back to Third Wave Trades. For today's video, I want to go over Palantir Technologies, ticker symbol PLTR. This is a stock that I've been keeping an eye on, and I feel like it is sort of at a point where a bullish move is going to happen. So I want to go over the Elliott Wave count. I also want to take a look at it from a Wyckoff Method and go over a couple of other bullish indicators based off of technical analysis, things like moving averages and things like that, just so we could see how I believe all roads are basically pointing north, and we can expect a pretty decent move to the upside soon for Palantir. So before we get into that, guys, again, just a quick disclaimer: I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence and research, and or consult with a financial advisor before making any trades. Also, guys, please like this video if you find the content helpful, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below any ticker symbols you want to see. Thank you for everybody who has subscribed already and who have liked my videos. It means a lot. I am trying to get to the point where I can do live trades for you guys at market open. In order to do so, I believe I need about 50 or 100 subscribers in order to go live. So that is the goal for now. So if you guys can like, comment, and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. So getting into it, Palantir Technologies, we closed on Friday at $8.81. It was up 2.68% for the day on a pretty much red day for the rest of the market. So that was a pretty good sign. If we take a look at the price action, we can see we are sort of in this uptrend ever since December's low at $5.90. We've sort of been making higher highs and higher lows. We had this little bit of a pullback, and now it looks like we are going to resume a bullish move to the upside. If we look at the RSI indicator, we are above 50, which is bullish. Our 21-day moving average is above our 50-day moving average. Again, a very good sign, and it looks like we may be getting a crossover soon as we are testing the 200-day moving average. So if we get above the 200-day moving average, that's a bullish sign, and then if the crossover follows, that will be confirmation of a bullish move to the upside. Volume has been pretty low these past few days as the stock has been in a sort of corrective phase. However, on this last candle, we do look like we are starting to get a breakthrough in volume, which is above our sort of median or average of volume bar. Okay, so that's the sort of like basics of where the stock is right now. Really quick, I want to get into the Elliott Wave count. All right, let's take a look at the weekly chart so we can get an idea of the macro count for Palantir. So if you'll take a look at this chart, you'll notice first that the stock hasn't been around for that long, right? It IPO'd back in September of 2020. It IPO'd at around $9.23, and it was basically in the height of the meme frenzy where everything was very bullish. The market in general was very bullish, and we had a very impulsive move to the upside. Now, if you notice over here, I've sort of accounted for a wave, a first wave in this structure that we don't see, but we can kind of presume to be there because just because the stock IPO'd in 2020 of September doesn't mean that it wasn't trading before that, or it wasn't, or the price action, has to necessarily start from there, right? Because if we take a look at the structure, we can clearly see that this is the impulsive move, as evidenced by the high volume and the these bars of the price action candle bars, which are very, very impulsive looking, as compared to the bars in this structure, which are very choppy, very small, not as much volume. So this is clearly the impulsive move, and then this is the corrective move that followed for the past year and a half. So if that is the case, and this is the impulsive move, this would have to be a 5-wave structure. So if it's complete over here, I'm kind of just presuming this to be a 3rd wave, 4th, 5th, and over here we had a sort of 1st wave. All right, doesn't really, and I just put it at the starting point of $0. Where it went to and where the 2nd wave pullback was doesn't really matter for our purposes right now. The main idea is that this was our 1st wave that ended in January of 21, and from that point on we've been correcting in this kind of complex corrective move. Again, I won't go into the correction because it's pretty complex, and you can probably look at it in a couple different ways. It's not really necessary for our purposes. What matters is that we had a large impulsive move to about $44, and then we had a correction which may be complete at this point. All right, so next we want to take a look at the stock on a daily chart to kind of just take a look at it and analyze it in terms of its local structure. What has it been doing recently? So we can go back to the December low where we hit $5.90, and from there we can count a clear 5-wave structure. All right, and that would be our 1st wave on this this structure going up. All right, so if that's our 1st wave, like I said, then this somewhere here is our 2nd wave, and now we could possibly be starting our 3rd wave up. The only problem that I have with it, guys, is that it's not too clear whether or not this correction is done. It's very sidewaysy. It doesn't look like a picture perfect zigzag or flat or anything like that. It's possible that it's a more complex structure. I did want to show you guys really quick kind of like the main structures that we do look at when we're talking about corrections, and I'll just draw them over here for you guys quickly. So the first is a zigzag, which is a sort of ABC pattern that looks like that. All right. The next is a flat, which looks more like this. It's a more sideways movement. And then the last one is actually a 5-wave movement, which is basically our triangle, forms our triangle. All right, so those are the 3 main corrective patterns. Now what can happen is that we can get complex corrections where these ABCs, or this zigzag, a flat, or a triangle, they can be joined together in different combinations. You can have a zigzag and a flat, you can have a flat and a flat, you can have a flat and a triangle, etc., etc. And these corrections are often connected with a wave that we call an X wave, right? And that's what eventually forms your WXY, right? Or in the case of an even more complicated structure where you have 2 X's and you have a WX, YX, Z. All right, so corrections can get very tricky at times. So when it's not so clear, it's it can be a lot of work to really like get into a minuscule count and try to understand exactly what's going on with the structure. So something that I've been doing, and I'm not sure if other people do this as well, I've actually started to analyze the sideways corrective moves in the in a different method, which is basically the Wyckoff method. And I'm kind of new to the Wyckoff method, but so far it's been working great for me. It's really helped my understanding of these sideways consolidation moves to know whether or not we are breaking out or we're still going to be moving sideways for a little while. And that's what I use when the correction in terms of Elliott Wave Theory is not perfectly clear to me. So that's kind of how I feel right now with Palantir. I'm not really sure if this was the full correction and now we are moving up, or if this is like something more complex is about to happen over here, right? So given that I can't be 100% sure, I want to take a look at it and analyze the price action from the Wyckoff method, and I'm going to show you guys kind of like what I see over here in terms of the Wyckoff accumulation schematic. So I will just pull this up for you guys right here. All right, so according to Wyckoff accumulation, there's two sorts of schematics that we can look at, schematic 1 and schematic 2, and they're essentially the same thing. The only main difference is that is the spring move. Sometimes it's present, sometimes it's not. So in our situation, it doesn't look like we have a spring, so we are probably looking more likely at a schematic number 2. So I'm just going to leave this over here for you guys, for us to kind of like compare Palantir's price action to this kind of generic accumulation diagram. And keep in mind, guys, it doesn't have to look exactly like this. This is sort of just a guide on what we can kind of expect. And if we do use that as a guide, we can see that it's pretty accurate, right? Over here we can see we had a sell-off after our move to the upside at $10. We had a sort of sell-off, and over here we found our preliminary support, right? Right here we hit our selling climax, followed by an automatic rally. Now over here it doesn't look like we had a secondary test in phase A, which we might expect. We just had a move to the upside, a secondary test to the upside, and then we get our secondary test in our phase B, right, which is usually a sign of weakness. It's a pretty strong move to the downside. From there we move up, have a secondary test to the upside, right, or you can call it a upwards thrust move, and then from there we get a another move down, but again you could either have a spring move in the phase C where it is a massive sell-off, and this is where market makers would like to kind of force your hand in selling. They really push the price down, but it doesn't always have to be there, right? So in the second schematic we see there's no spring action, and that's kind of like what we have. We don't have a spring, but we do have like a little bit of a drop off, and then that kind of acts as our last point of support over here, right? And from there we just get a series of last point supports, followed by a sign of strength, right? So we have our last point of support, sign of strength, and now essentially we should be making a series of these moves, right, where we get a sign of strength, and then we move up, the last point of support, sign of strength, and until we basically just climb higher in this phase E. And that's exactly where I think we are at right now with this in terms of the Wyckoff method. I do believe we are in this either phase D, phase E area, which is a great time to buy. So that's kind of helped me make my decision on where I stand in terms of my wave count. I would like to say that basically that this was in fact a completed correction, and now we're moving up. What the exact count is, we'll get into that, or like at least what I'm going to consider the count as of right now. But basically, yeah, using the Wyckoff method, it kind of has helped me to distinguish sideways moves, right, whenever there's a change of character, right? So we had a downwards move, and then we got this change of character into the sideways move, and now it looks like we have another change of character, and we are going to move higher. Ideally, I see something like this where we sort of consolidate, right, as a sign of strength, push higher, consolidate, push higher, consolidate, push higher, right? And that will basically coincide with our wave count. All right, so let's put that to the side for now and come back to what can potentially be our wave count, right? So if the correction is over for now, we'll say that it is over, and this is a sort of A, B, C, then we could kind of see this as a 1-2, 1-2 situation forming right here, and then that would lead to a pretty decent third wave move up here, all right? We can get some strong bullish move coming really soon, like in a week, 2 weeks, and that'll all basically be confirmed by the price action. All right, so yeah, that's kind of how I'm seeing it. I'm using the Wyckoff method to kind of help my count in terms of where we are in the Elliott Wave Theory, and then there's a bunch of other indicators as well. Like I mentioned, the RSI is above 50, which is pretty bullish. We are in this uptrend, making higher highs and higher lows. The 21-day is above the 50-day, and it looks like we are about to get a crossover as we're testing this 200-day moving average, which is another bullish indicator. The last indicator I want to talk about is actually the stochastic, and this is a strategy that I use that often coincides with a third wave move up, and that's basically when we are in a sort of uptrend, and that can be determined sort of like, just by creating this trend line, and then also by the fact that the 21-day is above the 50-day moving average. When we're in an uptrend and we get a oversold area, price comes down to an oversold area in the stochastic. Once we get that crossover back into this blue highlighted area, that is a early indicator of price action is really about to take off. So far, it has worked for me numerous times when I use that in alignment with a possible third wave count, and I see it again over here. So it's making me feel very bullish about where this can go. Price action can pick up over here, and if we see price action pick up, we see a strong candle or two in the next coming days, I am going to be very bullish on this stock. I already am, but if it's sort of a higher risk play at the moment, if we were to get in now, we could get in now and set a stop loss somewhere around this level or this level. If you wanted to make a more conservative play, you could wait till we take out this high over here, right, and then get in over here. The problem with that is if we do that, then we sort of just leave all this on the table. But it all depends on your own strategy and how you want to trade, given your risk management and things like that. Me personally, I do think that I will be going long sometime this week. Watch sort of the price action and wait for kind of like to see if a volume is picking up and see if price action is moving higher, and then I will probably go long if that does happen. All right, it is possible that that we aren't done with this correction quite yet, and we do end up moving a little bit more sideways or lower, in which case it's kind of just going to be a patience game, and we can kind of wait till we get like this crossover and wait till we see the volume pick up before we move higher. But ultimately, guys, I am bullish on this. All the technical patterns to me look pretty strong. This is another AI stock. We know AI has been really bullish. We've seen it with Nvidia, AMD, and some of those other stocks. So it looks like we've kind of just been consolidating and correcting. Sideways moves are not bad moves. They kind of they kind of just are a sign of strength, where you kind of consolidate in an area before you make your next bullish or impulsive move up. So I am bullish on the stock. I do really like where this is headed, and we're gonna just have to wait and see where it goes. All right, guys. So the last thing I will say is, if we do go with this this projection, then we can come up with a price target, right, by using the Fibonacci extension tool. And for now, taking this as our second wave low, we can basically come to a price projection of $14 and like 24 cents, or 14 and change. Basically, we'll just call it $14, which is the 161.8% extension of this first wave. All right, guys, so that's what I got for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that was helpful. If it was, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what other stocks and tickers you want to see, or if there's anything that I can explain further. If you have any questions, please let me know.